Hey guys, just checking. Still working with this new mic, and I know sometimes it works wonderfully, other times it really does not work well at all. So let me know if it sounds terrible. Anyway, I just wanted to do a stream tonight. Just been seeing people talking about different things, and I thought it would just be an interesting conversation to have. The question of, do you trust Big Pharma? Now, this is actually a nuanced question, as a lot of people mentioned or seemed to notice when I posted this both in Twitter and in Discord. I got different responses. Some people said, well, that's, what was it? Okay, I didn't bring up the answers. Anyway, but people saying you can't just say yes or no. Do you trust them? Do you not trust them? What does it mean? You need to be more specific. And that's a good point. Most people, however, just had a straight up answer, yes or no. And I put an extra answer in. I said either yes, no, or yes if my doctor does. 73% of people said no, just no. 15% said yes if my doctor does. Only 12% said yeah, said just yes, I trust Big Pharma. Given that it's Twitter, I can't, I wouldn't be surprised if at least some of that 12% is trolls. You know, I doubt many people would fully trust Big Pharma, but there could be some people saying, well, I know that their goal is to make money, and the best way for them to make money is to make drugs that actually work. And if they make drugs that don't work, they're not going to make money because they're going to get sued, although there are arguments both ways. Hello, chat. Yes. Don't distract me. I'll lose my train of thought. Hang on. This is why I don't look at chat early on after bed until I get to a point where, yeah, anyway. Sorry, guys. Anyway, the question really should be nuanced. Do you trust Big Pharma? Well, first of all, what is Big Pharma? Who is Big Pharma? I mean, it's really not even a who, it's a what. It's kind of like saying, do you trust big corporations? Most people would say, no, I don't trust big corporations, because in general, they don't trust big corporations. They say that corporations' reason for existence is making money for their shareholders, therefore they're not trustworthy, if you will. They're saying, no, their purpose is to make money. Their purpose is not to help people. Same for Big Pharma. Now, Big Pharma is a little different in that, yes, they are big corporations. Their goal is to make money, but their way of making money is, in theory, helping people by providing medications that, in theory, work and do more good than bad. So I used to work in health insurance. So this, for me, is different than for a lot of other people. So I'm going to give you my opinion there. Do I trust Big Pharma just in general? No, their goal is to make money. Their goal is not to help people, although, sorry. Hey, sorry, I usually put them in their pen. He's just misbehaving tonight. Be still. Be still. Do you want to see an angry dragon? Sorry. Yeah, see how his beard is black? That means, yes. And the head bob, that means he's angry. He's upset. He saw one of the girls. And, yeah, this is Papa. And he saw one of the girls and decided to get upset. Behave yourself. Sorry, distraction. So, okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I really should have situated him better before I started the stream. I thought he was happy a minute ago. Anyway, so going back to it, what is it? Big Pharma, as I said, essentially means the large corporations that make pharmaceuticals, the drugs that keep some people alive and keep other people drugged up. Yeah, people say Ritalin. Ritalin, I mean, yeah, it can be very good for people who need it, but I feel like the vast majority of time, it's just people are being, boys especially, they're just being drugged up because they're boys. They're not behaving like girls. I mean, I see a lot of other YouTubers have talked about that in more detail and said it better than I'm saying it here. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that to a large degree. But anyway, my point is, I'm sorry, if they get in a fight, I'm going to have to step aside for a second. Sorry, guys. My point is, as I said, their goal is to make money. Their way that they make money is making drugs that people either want or need. The problem is that with some companies, they really don't care if you need it so long as you buy it, so long as you use it, and so long as it doesn't hurt you or hurt significantly. That's one reason we have a problem with antibiotic-resistant viruses, strains in the US to a big degree, because doctors just push drugs as an answer to everything. You have a virus, okay, here, take this. Take an antibiotic. You have a cold, take an antibiotic. I mean, and I'm exaggerating to some degree. I'm not a doctor. As I said, I worked in health insurance, not in medicine. I know almost nothing about medicine other than from an insurance perspective. I'm not in biology or anything. So the fact is, yes, I feel like drugs are way overused in this country. And I think most people would agree with that. People are overprescribed different things. I mean, like I have joint problems in just mainly my knees and occasionally my wrist. And I've been to doctors, I've been to hospitals, I've been put in the hospital for a while, just as they ran all sorts of tests trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Doctors, they have not been able to figure out what's wrong with me. One doctor prescribed me an arthritis medication. He didn't even tell me that's what it was. He wrote me a prescription and said, here, take this. And I said, well, what is it? He says, it's arthritis medication. I'm like, I don't have arthritis. He says, well, you have some of the symptoms and so it should help. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Sorry. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done this live stream. Give me one sec. Stop it. Over me. Stop it. Stop it. No. Sorry, guys. Hey. They are just. I'm sorry, guys. You know that they do not usually interrupt my streams. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I do feel like drugs are certainly overused. I feel like they're overprescribed. But at the same time, I think that we have so many good drugs that do so many good things. It's wonderful what can happen. So do I trust Big Pharma to have my best interest in mind? No. But do I trust that they're probably not going to kill me? And overall, in general, they're probably going to do a lot more good than harm? Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't change the fact that their goal is to make money. So they are going to encourage people to take drugs that they may not need. They're going to give doctors incentives to push drugs that people may not need, because doctors do get kickbacks for a lot of these drugs. The more, it's kind of like a commission, even though it's not really a commission, but it's kind of like that. If they prescribe more of a certain type of drug, then they can get that the pharmaceutical companies will give them. I say kickbacks because it's not necessarily finance. It's maybe other things. Stop it. Sorry, he's just in a really bad mood here. So there is a financial incentive for doctors to prescribe some drugs. Now, please understand, a lot of doctors are very principled in that they're not going to do that if the patient doesn't need it. But there are other doctors who, while they are principled, they're not going to do something that they think could hurt their patient. They may prescribe something that say, well, this might help. Let's try it. Your insurance is going to cover it. It's not going to cost you any money, or it'll only cost you a small copay. So here, let's go ahead and try it. That's one detriment to having insurance. I've seen this. It's called the what is it called? It's not the moral dilemma. It's the moral risk. I can't think of what it's called. But there's actually a term for it in insurance, that people will actually get more treatment than they need and essentially spend more because it's not their money they're spending. If they have insurance, somebody else is paying for it, so they're going to go to the hospital more often than they would otherwise need to. They're going to buy more medication than they would otherwise need to because they're not paying for it. In the same way, doctors are more likely to prescribe something, say, well, here, let's try it, see if it works, even if they don't need it and they're not sure it's going to work, because, hey, the patient isn't paying for it anyway, their insurance is, and so sure, why not? Okay, let's do that. So that's more kind of where I'm going here. Big Pharma does a lot of good, and to be honest, they do a lot of bad too. I will say that. I don't think that I don't think that they're pure evil. I just don't think that they're perfectly good either. I think that their incentive is to make money. Now, the goal of the stream honestly wasn't just to talk about Big Pharma. It was to go into it a little bit, but to say, look, drug companies will push drugs that you don't need because they want to make money. Doctors will prescribe drugs that you don't need. Again, and not the majority of the time, not most of the time, but some of the time, they will prescribe drugs that you don't need because, hey, it might work, and because patient just wants something to make them feel better, and because you're not paying for it, and because oftentimes they get kickbacks. So yeah, and yeah, a lot of people just hate Big Pharma. Yeah, there's corruption. I agree. I think there is. I don't think they're as bad as a lot of people say they are, but I do think that, yeah, there is corruption. Yeah, as I said, their goal is to make money. Now, why this started, why I was thinking about this, why I wanted to do the stream on this, why it was something that was frustrating me lately, is because of seeing all of these memes lately about anti-vaxxers. And unfortunately, people want to take everybody who questions vaccinations, any vaccination, and group them all together and call them anti-vaxxers. That's the same as everybody on the left looking at people on the right and saying, you are all alt-right because you're not left. That's ridiculous. Yes, there are people out there. There's actually a group called, if you've heard of Christian Scientists, who believe it is immoral to use any medication or use any doctor. So of course they're not going to have vaccinations at all. There are other people who just so distrust Big Pharma. They're like, oh, Big Pharma is pure evil. Anything that comes out of there, any medication, it's going to kill us. And yes, I'm related to a couple of people who will say this. And they can tell you stories about people once they get to they've known people who once they get to a certain age, because they work with older people, they would be prescribed this certain medication and then they'd be dead within 6 months. And they're like, I've seen this pattern, and it's a drug that actually kills you, and it's a means of controlling the population, and they're doing this on purpose. Doctors will intentionally prescribe this drug to kill these people. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. I don't think Big Pharma makes a drug to kill people. I could be wrong, but I really don't think so. So yes, there are people out there who are like that, conspiracy theorists, or just, I mean, vegans that just say, oh, you're going to get cancer and die if you eat meat. I think those people are a little crazy. Now, if you want to live that way, go for it. Now, the difference is with the extreme anti-vaxxers, yes, the difference is you have children involved and it's people making decisions for other people. But understand, way too many people just want to take anybody who even questions any vaccination and group them in with the insane, crazy people. And no, a lot of these people are just people that don't fully trust Big Pharma and say, wait, why am I giving my child this vaccination that he or she may not need? Chickenpox. Why am I vaccinating my kids for chickenpox? Chickenpox aren't fatal. Nobody's going to die from chickenpox unless you get it as essentially as an infant or as an old person. I mean, or if you're pregnant and you get chickenpox while you're pregnant, then you have a higher risk of a miscarriage. But you know something? My mom got chickenpox when she was pregnant, not with me, with one of my other siblings. But and she survived. The baby survived. There were no issues. Chickenpox are not going to kill you. So when some parents are like, I really don't want to pay for this vaccination. I don't trust Big Pharma that much that I'm going to inoculate my kids for chickenpox. I think this is kind of ridiculous. And people are like, oh my goodness, you be anti-vaxxer. You're going to kill your kids because you don't believe in medicine. It's like, no, I'm questioning this. Did you know in the US, they give babies, one-day-old babies, the CDC inoculation or vaccination schedule, it says first dose needs to be within 24 hours of birth for an STD. Hepatitis B is an STD, a sexually transmitted disease, and we are inoculating babies 1 day old. And I've debated this with people, 3 separate people, one online, 2 in person, who were just like, oh, no, you have to have this dose. And one of them was like, because if the mother has it, then the baby can get it from the mother through birth. And I said, okay, but you're giving them the vaccine after they're born. Now, granted, the vaccine could potentially help the baby fight it if they did get it from their mom, but I'm like, why not just test the mom? Find out if she has it. If you test the mom, then you know if she has it. If she doesn't have it, why are you inoculating a 1-day-old baby for an STD? And another person says, oh, well, just do it now so you don't forget later. I'm like, it's a 1-day-old baby, and you're inoculating them for an STD. And then this third person said, well, what if my child gets raped? Like, that's a good question. What are you doing with your 1-day-old baby that they could get raped? Okay. So again, but if you just question this, see, I have a couple of siblings that have kids, and most of them have refused this vaccination. They say, I do not want my 1-day-old baby to get a vaccine that is comparatively new, for an STD. Because, newsflash, a lot of these vaccinations, they are new. We don't have the long-term. Now, most of them now, I think we have longer-term studies showing that, they're not going to necessarily do bad things. But like, there's a study recently, I shouldn't say, not an official study, an unofficial study, because nobody has done any official studies on it, that said the flu vaccine, the annual flu vaccine that they, at least in the US, they tell everybody get the flu vaccine, everybody get the flu vaccine. Somebody did kind of a unofficial thing. I don't know what you call that when it's a study that's not actually done by a school or a professional. And they said women, at least according to this, said that women who are pregnant who get the flu vaccine are 7 times more likely to miscarry than pregnant women who do not get the flu vaccine. And I was talking to a friend of mine about this. I'm like, whoa, that's insane. And they said, yeah, when they tested the flu vaccine, they did not test it on pregnant women because they didn't want to take the liability risk of, you know, what if it causes a miscarriage? They don't want to be responsible for that. So they just didn't test it on pregnant women. I'm like, oh, okay. Again, now this is, that, by the way, is that's kind of hearsay. I mean, the study was real. That was in an article. I should have brought that up. I'm sorry, I don't have it. But if you do a search, you can probably find it. I should probably just do a search. But anyway, if anybody questions that, I should find. I'll try to find the link and put it in the description if I can remember. But anyway, so I mean, you have things like that, and the flu can kill you if you're a very young child, very old person, or trying to think if you have certain health problems, it can kill you. Outside of that, yes, if you get the flu, you may be off work for a couple of days. You're going to be absolutely miserable. So most people are like, oh, here, I'll just take the vaccine just to prevent that. But the fact is, you know what? Sometimes the vaccine actually causes the flu. You can get it from the vaccine. That's rare. That's rare, but you know, it can happen. No, that's not true. I've gotten a flu vaccine, I think, once in my life. Twice, because I was working at one company that they required it. It's like, if you're working here, you must get the flu vaccine every year, and they paid for it. And I'm like, whatever. But yeah, this is Mama. Papa was picking on her. Sorry, I just noticed somebody saying hi to the dragon. Hey, they're talking to you. No, she doesn't care. She doesn't like people. She's very antisocial. But Papa is very social. He likes people, and Baby doesn't like anybody. But anyway. They have names. I tend to call them Mama, Papa, and Baby. Regardless, get off topic. This is why I don't look at the chat. Sorry, I'll look at you guys in a minute. What was I saying? But anyway, it frustrates me when people just attack people, because people would be telling my sisters who, like I said, they had babies, and they said absolutely things like, whooping cough and smallpox and whatever the others are. I can't remember. The ones like that, polio, they said, yes, absolutely, my kids are getting those. Anything that can kill you, we're getting that vaccine. But you know what? I think it was the smallpox vaccine, when it first came out, people were excited about, well, actually people weren't, they didn't know what to think of it. And there was one in particular, one well-known figure at the time said, look, I took the vaccine to let people know, because he's like, this is a great idea. I encourage it. He ended up getting the disease from the vaccine and dying. One thing my dad used to tell me is that any new drug that comes out on the market, wait till it's been out for about 10 years before you take it, because you don't know what the long-term effects are. We talked about the one thalidomide, I think it was. Yeah, if you know what thalidomide is, it was a medicine that came out that would help pregnant women with morning sickness. So it cured their nausea. So it was a cure for morning sickness, essentially. It was amazing. Everybody was so excited. People started taking it. Women all over across America started taking it. And then what happened? Their children were born with severe birth defects. I mean, it was horrific. And so we get these vaccines, and I can remember, again, working for the health insurance company, I can remember 2 vaccines came out while I was working there. And one of the things that I did, I worked with numbers there. I would actually help to calculate rates. What are we supposed to charge people? Because basically, I was the one that people would come to me and say, okay, how much are we going to pay in claims next year? And I would calculate that, and I would be pretty close to accurate. I'd say, okay, next year we're going to incur this much. So this many people are going to the hospital, and it's going to be an average of this much that we're going to be incurred. So that's how much we owe. And of that, we're going to get this many bills in next year. And baby, don't do that. Sorry. Just trying to jump. Don't jump. Hey, don't jump. Come here. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so but I would be the one calculating all of that. Here's how many people are going to the hospital. Here's how much it's going to cost us. Here's how many of the bills we're going to get next year. Here's how many bills we are not going to get next year, but that are going to be turned in like the year after, and we're still going to have to pay. So here's how much we're actually going to pay. Oh, and by the way, here's how many bills that we have already been incurred this past year that we haven't gotten yet. We don't know about because people haven't actually turned in the claims. But here's how much money we're actually going to pay this year. And of that, this much is going to be incurred next year. This much is going to have been incurred last year. This much is from the year before that people still just have sitting around that they just haven't turned in yet. I was that person, and I would be pretty accurate in my numbers. I'm a numbers, yeah, this is what I do for fun, and it was so much fun. And while I was working there, 2 new vaccines came out. Doctors were, they had just come out on the market. Doctors were starting to recommend them and all. And the higher ups came to me and said, hey, we want you to calculate if we cover this and say, okay, we're covering these 2 vaccines. Everybody that wants them, yeah, we'll pay for them. They're for kids within this age range. How much is it going to cost us? So I'm the one that had to do that. And I remember thinking at the time, man, parents, why would you get your kids this vaccine that only just came out? I mean, you're risking your kids. I didn't say that, of course. I didn't offer opinions. I just gave the numbers. So, and it was fun actually figuring it out. I said, okay, it's going to cost us this much per 100,000 people or whatever. Because anyway, I could go into how I figured it out and all the different factors you have to consider, and it's so much fun. Well, if you like numbers, but I recognize most people don't like numbers that much, so I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, my point is, next time you hear somebody talking about vaccinations, understand a lot of this is just, I don't trust Big Pharma enough with my children's lives that I'm going to inoculate my 12-hour-old baby for an STD. And some people say, oh, well, they're going to have it before they go to school. I'm like, yeah, they're not going to school at 1 day old. Oh, my goodness. Anyway. Hey, behave. Okay. Pausing the rant for a bit, I am going to now look at chat. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, both my parents are pharmacists. With me being English, that means they're government employees. Yeah, I know it's a different question when you're not in America because you don't. I mean, Big Pharma, I feel like, is American. Most other countries do have government, whatever, yeah, government regulated, and not government regulated, but government owned healthcare systems. So you don't hear so much about other countries coming up with new drugs. I don't know, maybe they do. Yes. Okay, so Lisa, yeah, I think I addressed that, but making money is a red herring. It's like saying, do you trust the local baker? His purpose is to make money. If he starts filling his bread with sawdust, he won't make money. And yes, I agree with you, and I feel like I did kind of address that in their purpose is to make money, but the way that they make money is helping people. Therefore, indirectly, their goal is helping people. The difference is with Big Pharma, there is rarely competition, at least early on, because if somebody comes out with a new drug that says, hey, this will cure the common cold, they're not competing with anybody. So if it does cure the common cold and then 10 years down the road causes cancer, it's not like, well, that's another issue too, is some of these drugs, it can take a long time before you notice the bad side effects or whatever. Anyway, yeah. So it is a very nuanced issue. Yeah. Big Pharma have salesmen. Hey, actually, Big Pharma has a lot more saleswomen than salesmen, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm totally what's the word? Generalizing there. Okay, I only trust little pharma. Yeah, no. Okay, I'm about to get off on a sidetrack. I won't go there. Yeah, they were big donors to Obama. Yeah, I feel like so many big corporations, big entities like that are support Democrats. Flu vaccines don't work. The flu evolves so fast that a vaccine becomes useless after a few months. Well, that's why they come out with a new one every year. And yeah, a lot of people say, well, I'd say a lot of people saying that. No, yeah, flu vaccine is a joke. Yeah, I don't get the flu vaccine. I think it's silly. I understand why some people get it. And I mean, and I've heard so many stories on both sides, like, oh, I've been getting the flu vaccine every year, and I've never gotten the flu. I'm like, well, I never get the flu vaccine, and I've never gotten the flu. So anyway, and then others who say, I never got the flu vaccine, or no, I never used to get the flu until I started getting the vaccine, and now I get the flu every year. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So it's just whatever. Okay. If you've had a vaccine and have trouble sleeping the night after, chances are no flu vaccine will ever work for you. I don't, okay. I assume that's something a pharmacist doesn't understand. I don't. Oh, okay. No, okay, so Silly Sailor says, in the UK, Hep A and Hep B are the same vaccine. No, they are not in the US. They're two separate ones. Hepatitis A is one that you get, that you give to babies at from 6 to 12 months, sometimes afterwards, sometimes, yeah, basically between 6 and 18 months is when you get the hepatitis A vaccine. Birth is when you get the hepatitis B vaccine. I mean, literally you get the first dose within 24 hours of birth, the second dose at 1 month old. It's the only one you get that early. All of the others are at 2 months and above. But hepatitis B, which is a sexually transmitted disease, they inoculate that at birth. It's just crazy. Flu vaccine is unnecessary for healthy people. I agree with that, but there are people who disagree. That's my personal opinion, and I don't have any scientific evidence to back that up. I'm just saying it. Yeah. Behaviors. Oh my goodness. She just does not want to sit still. Hey. Hey. Okay. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to talk about. And I didn't want this one to go 40 minutes. I know my last stream ended up going 40 minutes. I was going to bring up, yeah, so I'm not actually going to go into the articles and the whatnot, although here, I think I will. So in the description, in the description of the video, I'm going to put some of these link, or some of the, I have a link for just the birth to 18, birth to 15. Oh, that's actually, no, this goes higher than that. Anyway, essentially the child immunization schedule recommended by the CDC. And I think it's something I wish more people would look into. If you have a baby, or if you don't have babies, stop. I don't know, just don't condemn people just because you hear they didn't get certain vaccines. And you know, I know the whole vaccine cause autism. I know that's just this huge debate and whatever, going back and forth. The fact is the CDC is the one that said that it can cause autism, that they don't know, that there have been instances that make people question, and they don't know, and that they're saying, well, it might. We just don't know. I don't know. I don't, well, but I don't have kids, and you know, so I don't know. But before you say, oh my goodness, you insane person, because they're like, oh, I don't want to, you know, get the chicken pox vaccine. I mean, it might cause autism. They're getting that data from the CDC. No, there have been no studies that link the two, but there has been enough information. My baby. Okay. Sorry, she just jumped off the chair. She's okay. Anyway, but there has been enough, I guess, anecdotal instances that even the CDC says it's possible. There are no studies that say it happens. There's no way for them to say this is a potential side effect. They're just saying it is possible, and we're letting you know it's possible. So I'm saying it's possible. I don't know. Again, I haven't seen any studies saying that it. I don't think there are any studies saying that it does. But if even the CDC says it's possible, then yeah, I'm going to say it's possible. So when people say, well, I'm not going to inoculate my kids for chickenpox, for these diseases that that there's no chance it's going to kill them, it's just going to make you uncomfortable for a couple of days. And if you're my age or above, chances are you had the chickenpox and you survived. And I mean, come on. Anyway, so it's just these modern day kids that we're like, we don't want them to get sick with anything ever. And you have this hand sanitizer, which I have, you know, I have this because I have my dragons, and I always use that before eating anything after playing with my dragons or, you know, touching food or anything. So yeah, there is definitely a place for this. But when you raise your kids essentially drenched in this, guess what? They have no immune system. When you inoculate them for everything to where they've never been sick in their life, they get a cold as an adult and they can't even function. They have to call in sick to work because they don't know how to. They don't know how to handle it. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm in pain. What do I do? I'm gonna die. No, you can suck it up and you can go to work. You know, it's just. Yes, you should absolutely get the vaccinations for anything that is life-threatening. Yes, the smallpox vaccine, the polio vaccine, any of those. Yes, definitely, you need to have that. Tetanus. I mean, yes, but I mean, that could be because I grew up out in the woods, and yeah, we were at much higher risk of tetanus and things like that. Yes, things like that. Yes, you should definitely get the vaccine. But things like, again, inoculating your kids against STDs, it's kind of like, really? The flu? Kids are not going to die. Well, little kids might, but you know, once they get to be a little older, a little healthier, they're probably not going to die from the flu. And again, yeah, measles, mumps, rubella. Let's see, that one I can think. Yeah, anyway, but just things like anyway. I think I've given my point. I think I've made my point, and I'm just kind of babbling at this point. I'm sorry. It's been another long day. I'm not as tired as I was yesterday or whenever I did the last stream, but still, it's been a long day. But so that was what it was. I know this is kind of a boring stream somewhat, but yeah, basically I just kind of wanted to go over that and just kind of mainly addressing, I think, of the people who I see online just essentially mocking anti-vaxxers And yet they will mock people. They lump anybody who even questions any vaccine, they lump them all together. I'm like, stop doing that. Just seriously, stop doing that. Most people don't trust Big Pharma. So why are you mocking anyone who questions Big Pharma when it comes to the care of their kids? Because that's what you're doing. Now, yes, I can understand mocking people who just refuse to get any vaccine. I get that. It's kind of like how I will mock vegans. I think it's ridiculous, even though I have friends who are vegans, and I'm not. I don't do it to be mean. I just think it's real ridiculous. Yes, thank you. Most of Pilaria, I don't know how to pronounce that. Dirt is the best vaccine for kids. Yes, my siblings and I grew up out in the woods, and we would eat dirt. Well, I wouldn't, because I'm not really a neat freak. I'm definitely not a neat freak, but I'm not exactly a germaphobe. But I was definitely closer to being one than most of my siblings. I did not like being dirty. I didn't like. I wouldn't eat if I thought if my plate or silverware was dirty. I'm like, I'm not gonna eat on that. Hey, behave yourself. So, but yeah, some of my siblings, they'd eat dirt. Ugh. Anyway, but yes, my dad would just laugh about it. Mom would be like, oh my goodness. And dad's like, it builds immunity. So when kids pick up the food off the floor and put it in their mouth, the mom's like, what? And dad's, it builds immunities. And it's true. We all grew up very strong, very healthy, we don't get sick. Just, I think I have one sister who has a little more trouble with it, and I tease her about it. It's like, because she has red hair. I mean, she was anyway. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I won't get into that. If you get the joke, it's funny. If you don't, never mind. Not going there. Regardless, yeah. I guess the whole point of this is, one, question it. If you have kids, when your doctor says, "Oh, here is your immunization schedule," look into it. What are these actual diseases? Why are you getting the vaccine? What is the purpose behind it? And what are the risks? Because yes, there are risks to getting vaccines. I'm not going to say, again, I know most people just want to say, oh, the risk of autism. There are other risks too. And again, even the CDC says it is possible that autism is no, behave yourself. No, sorry. Anyway. So yeah, and by the way, I'm not saying avoid vaccines because your kids might get autism. I'm saying don't mock people because they're concerned about autism as a potential side effect, because as I said, even the CDC says it. Now, people who say you will get it, now that's ridiculous. There aren't any studies that show. There aren't even studies that even link it. But again, CDC says it's possible. So hey, it's possible. We just haven't had the right study. I don't know. I don't have kids though, so no. Stop it. Sorry, he's just not wanting to behave. Stop. Yeah. I don't know why, but he will actually calm down sometimes if I just stop it. Hey. Sorry, guys. Okay, so anyway, that's all I had to say. Hope you found it interesting. I know this is a boring topic, but yeah, y'all have, yeah. Again, I'm sorry, this is not the best stream by any means, but I hope it gave you something to think about. Look into it, and just, again, before you mock people for questioning Big Pharma, think about it. They might have a reason to question Big Pharma. That's all. Thanks.